$14.5 billion.
A lot of euro.
That's the tax bill. This is from the EC, our favorite, Margaret Vestager, our favorite European commissioner.
Apple, no.
Says
Well, no.
Irish tax rulings to Apple are illegal state aid, making the taxation rate, the effective taxation rate for Apple, as low as 0.005%. Apple must repay up to 13 billion euros in unpaid tax. Apple's response, I'm sure we'll get this overturned. I'm sure they hope so. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. That letter from... go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say my favorite response that I heard offline from this is Tim Cook gave his most malice-free, factual F-off in history in that statement.
Wow. What was his statement? It wasn't. It wasn't F-off. It was
released a letter that basically saying that need I remind you that the Apple is the largest taxpayer in the United States of America and the largest taxpayer in Ireland, and we had actually it's basically putting a human face on it because they know that obviously it's a bad scene if people think that Apple is a bunch of tax dodgers. They're making the case that when we've been in Ireland since 1980. At the time, we took the advice of both the Irish government and also other governments to make sure that we were doing everything properly to pay the proper amount of taxes. Ireland is happy with this. We're happy with this. We're both upset that this outside agency is telling Ireland that even though Ireland says that we paid enough taxes, that we should be paying more taxes, and therefore we feel as though this is going to be a bad thing for the country of Ireland and for all European nations if we don't fight this. So we're going to fight this.
He said, we never asked for it, nor did we ever receive any special deals. We have 6,000 employees in Ireland. And I think his best point is this is dangerous for any company in Ireland that the laws could retroactively be changed. That the tax, we complied with tax law. Now they're saying, no, your advice from Ireland, your bill from Ireland, that was wrong. We're going to fix that.
Yeah, I don't know this specifically, but
it's not only that. I'm sorry. I'll let Rene speak. It's not only that, but the idea that look, Ireland, we've paid every penny of the taxes that Ireland has said that we owe, and so why is somebody else saying that we retroactively owe these taxes? That's part of the point they're saying.
It's super interesting because this is really a EU-Ireland issue, and a lot of people brought up Brexit immediately and what it means in terms of EU versus the member nations. And Ireland's a grown-up country, and can make their own laws.
And Ireland wanted to stay in the EU, by the way. Ireland,
yes.
Brexit. So I think this is the EU flexing its muscles after Brexit, in effect, saying, well, you wanted to stay with us, Ireland, so now we have a little bit of a bargaining power.
And it is nothing new. I mean, this has been going on for years and years and years, and the EU didn't do anything about it. They said it's a 3-year investigation, but it's been going on way longer than 3 years. And I don't know anything about Irish and EU tax law and Apple's corporations there, but I have had friends who in many situations have invested in things, and this has happened to them. They made an investment in order to save taxes, and they were told by their accountant that if you invest in this, or you get this R&D tax credit, or you get this you put shares in this company or whatever it was, and then 5-6 years later, Revenue Canada or Revenue Quebec has come back and said, that was totally illegal. You weren't allowed to do that, or we've changed the law, and then suddenly they owe a ton of money. And in some cases, they have absolutely no ability to pay that money back because they've gone on with their lives since then, and they'd budgeted. Apple has billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in the bank, so they can afford to pay $14 billion. It's relatively, it'll hurt. It's not a small chunk of change, but they're insulated against severe financial hardship from this. But I think it is a case where companies have been doing this for years, and not just Apple. Apple probably is the sweetest of sweetheart deals because of how early they got in and how big and how important their business was to Ireland. But the ability to reassess these things years later is something every company is going to worry about. And there were several, I forget who they were now, but several Irish companies saying, "What do we do next?" I mean, we were lured to Ireland, we were wooed, and now we're worried we're going to be the next one who gets reassessed.
Yeah, this would be a terrible precedent. I completely agree with Tim Cook, and this is the most. I mean, the EU has been very activist, and particularly activist against U.S. corporations doing business in the EU. But this is the most, most aggressive thing they've done, and really quite shocking. But Ireland, by the way, this is not Apple's to appeal. This is Ireland's to appeal. They say they plan to appeal the Commission's ruling. I guess Apple says it'll do the same, so maybe they both can. And we are confident the Commission's order will be reversed. There is this larger issue of, that really makes you not want to do business in Ireland, because suddenly here comes another governing body that can just say, oh, by the way, don't listen to the country you're in. We say you owe more money. So it's kind of shocking, frankly.
Yeah, it's unexpected. I kind of when I heard about it this morning, I was thinking that, okay, well, this is another one where I've been trying really hard to understand international business taxation for the past 4 months, since I'm getting nowhere.
This has been an issue for a while. I mean, we've been talking about this a lot.
Yeah. But one of the things that someone told me that kind of stuck out is that when you're talking about this much money and this much complexity, there is categorically right, there's categorically wrong. Those are like the smallest bands on the spectrum. Everything is gray, and it depends on who will benefit and what kind of argument you can make about whether this is the right structure to use in order to be able to do business and to pay the least amount of taxes legally. And so it's I assumed that it was more of a gray area that had been sort of found, but it looks so far as though it really was just the EU saying that we don't believe that you were we don't believe that Apple got the same deal that any continental company would be able to get with Ireland, and so for that reason, we're going to say that we insist that we level the playing field. But again, it's like saying that you paid too little for that car, only because you and the car dealer decided that this $6,000 for that Buick was a good price. We decided that you didn't pay enough money, so you're going to have to pay an extra $12,000, and if you don't have it, we're going to start adding on penalties. And that's I don't understand the system well enough to know if that's total BS, but that smells a bit BS.
This goes back more than almost 20 years to the Irish miracle. Ireland revitalized itself, pulled off an economic miracle by offering low corporate taxes and other incentives to corporations to come to Ireland, to do business in Ireland, and really did, in fact, benefit Ireland. The EU's position is that Ireland offered special treatment to some companies like Apple, and that was illegal. We haven't heard from Ireland at this point. Yeah. Apple says, hey, don't blame us. We did what Ireland told us to do. We followed Irish law. It does make sense, if I'm in Apple's shoes, that this should be not applied retroactively if you want to change the law going forward. And Apple has even said this, both to the U.S. Congress and to the EU. We do think the tax law should be reformed, and we would, support that. But to go back retroactively over many years and say, oh, here's your bill, more than $14 billion, that's kind of shocking. But at this, Ireland kind of, the real question, I guess, and this will be the question for the courts, is did Ireland, break the law in offering special deals to companies like Apple?
It's all hugely strange, and I don't think that any large company has clean hands. I thought that Tim Cook's letter walked a very fine line, because he was clearly taking the position of the company that we are fighting this, we are opposed to this because we feel as though we're doing what's right. If they felt as though they were guilty of doing something wrong, they would have done the 3-line: we disagree with this ruling, we intend to appeal, we have no further comment. Yeah. But at the same time, Apple is not alone in patriating certain intellectual properties in a Irish subsidiary or an Irish-held company, even though, wait a minute, so you don't actually own the rights to streaming media. That's held by a company that for no other reason is held in Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I've said all along, it's sketch. It feels unethical. It's legal, and that's, but it's legal in the U.S. anyway. They're telling me in the chat room, and I don't know the details of this, that there is a different tax rate for Apple, Google, and Microsoft, a few other companies that do this. in Ireland. They're not paying the same tax rate as other companies in Ireland pay. That would be questionable.
But that's
it's
again, that depends on it. Well, it depends. They're often exactly municipalities and even United States local governments obviously have a way of saying, we know that we are not that we know that
tax breaks to companies.
Newton Lower Falls is not the most attractive place for you to put your new silicon processing plant. We want to help you to see Newton Lower Falls as a wonderful, wonderful place to do business. So that's not necessarily a weird way to do business. Unfortunately, I might even argue against the idea of it being unethical to try for these companies to try to pay as little tax as possible, so long as they're, I think ethical is a weird word, but so long as they're operating within the law and they're not trying to have laws changed to benefit them. Right. I've a friend of mine who won every board game as a kid we ever played used to have a saying that, hey, the rules of the game are printed right there in the middle of the bottom of the lid. It's not my fault that I'm the only person who read them and knows that I'm allowed to now turn my hotel into a super hotel or whatever you can do in Monopoly. Yeah, exactly.